Welcome to the magical journey beyond mediocrity, where the mystical and the practical become aligned. You're listening to Meant for More, the Seeker's Guide to Success, with your host, Seeker's Guide and Coach, Kristen Lloyd. Kristen guides you through mindset shifts to increase your consciousness and live your best life. So let's leave mediocrity behind and step into your magical, magnificent life with Kristen.
Welcome back, everyone, to Meant for More, the Seeker's Guide to Success. I am your host and Seeker's Guide, Kristen Lloyd. Thank you all for being here and tuning in for today's show. This is episode 20 of the Meant for More show. And dun, 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 we are now accepting call-ins. If you want to jump on the call and get into the conversation, the number is 248-629-0921. Again, 248-629-0921. And if you are listening to the replay, sorry, you've missed your shot. But this is for live shows only. So today, our special guest is Nikki Glotfelty. Nikki is a neuromuscular massage therapist and an intuitive who specializes in corporate chair massage, where she unites and revitalizes the morale and mind, body, and spirit of the corporate world. For 6 years, she has brought her skills as an intuitive and her love of anatomy and massage to businesses all over Metro Atlanta. Her passion is guiding people towards greater body awareness while creating a rejuvenating experience while at work. It's her mission to leave her corporate clients feeling more energized, centered, and pain-free to create a more productive work environment. Welcome, Nikki.
Good morning, Kristen.
Good morning. I'm so glad you're here.
I know. Thanks so much for having me. It feels great.
So, I am so excited to hear about this corporate massage that you're doing. But the first question that I dig into with everybody is the aspect of Meant for More. So every individual that comes on the show has very interesting journey of how they got to where they are. And so I'm going to jump in there first and ask, what is your journey to more? How did you know that you were meant for more, and how did you find your path to where you are?
Great question. So, I hope it's interesting, right? So, my journey kind of started like a lot of other people's, starts with something, a huge event that happened in their life. I was in a really bad car accident when I was 16, near death, collapsed lungs, all kinds of physical stuff. And I was in a wheelchair and a walker for a long time and had to learn to walk again. And that was the beginning of my journey with, wow, like this is how the body heals. This is how the body works. And it took a long time, right, to heal the pelvis and to heal my legs. And I think I remember even back then, for a very short period of time when I was a teenager, that I wanted to become an orthopedic surgeon, because I saw how the doctor put my ankle literally back together, and just how important it all the doctors around me just caring for me in this way, and how I felt like Humpty Dumpty having to be put back together again. And I was like, I want to be a part of that. So that was the very beginning piece. And then, which was, it sounds so tragic, but really it was kind of exciting after a couple of years thinking back about that whole experience. And then that just really began my journey in movement, kinesiology. I became a personal trainer, an energy healer. And then from that, I started to, maybe in my late 20s, when I was a personal trainer, actually, I mostly dealt with obese or larger women, working them out. And I started to realize that when I put my hands on people, to help them get up off of a step, or during the workouts, I noticed that I could this is going to sound really strange to some people perhaps, but I sensed into their bodies. I knew what was going on in their organs specifically. And this is before a lot of any really strong anatomy classes. So it wasn't like I knew everything about the gallbladder, and I barely knew what side of the liver, the body was, the side of the body liver was on. So, but I started realizing that when I was sensing into these things, they were accurate. First, I didn't want to say anything, and then I would mention something to somebody like, hey, have you had, your gallbladder removed or your liver this? And people were like, yeah, how did you know that? And I kind of thought I was a weirdo, like I'm not going to tell anybody that I know any of these things. And then I realized, okay, this is cool. I don't know where this is coming from. I don't know where this is going to take me, but
did you have any idea that you were an intuitive at this point? Or like, had you been down that road of like understanding your intuition or anything about being intuitive, or did this lead you there?
It was kind of at the same time that my mother at that time was taking me to this really awesome retreat center in upstate New York in the Catskills called Shalom Mountain, a beautiful, wonderful, non-religious, denominational, place, just spiritual. And it was just spiritual retreats. So they did like a little bit of psychotherapy and meditation and just like cool things. And I was young then. So it was like, what are all these people like closing their eyes and like meditating, right? Just
right.
So weird. But then I started to learn that along with these gifts that were kind of going on in my personal life, when I went to these retreats, there were people talking about energy healing. I was like, I'd heard about it, I'd known about it, but during one of these retreats, the leaders looked at me specifically and kind of could tell I was like a early 20-year-old, kind of lost, didn't know where she was, kind of, girl. And she said, why didn't you consider maybe being an intern here at our center doing energy healing? At first I was like, what? What's she talking about? But then something happened. And it was probably one of the most profound experiences that I ever felt. Later on, I found out that it's called a Kundalini Experience. But at the time, I had no idea what it was called. So what had happened, as soon as she asked me that question, hey, why didn't you consider looking into energy healing and being an intern here? My whole body just heated up from the inside. If you can imagine like a hot coil being inside of your body from like your tailbone up to your like throat, your shin. And I just felt heat coming up and down. And I'm like, what is going on? This is way before I had any education about what any of this was called. And I found out that it was called Kundalini. And then since then, I've had 3 other experiences just like it. Every time, absolutely life transforming. And it really shifted me into, wow, there has to be some truth to this world of energy medicine for me, because every time I'm a part of it or talk to somebody, something happens where something either lights up inside of me, literally, right, like the heat, or I'm really curious and I want to find out more. Like when I would lay hands on people accidentally, it's not like I was intentionally trying to look into people's bodies. And so it just led me to be more curious. So I left everything in Atlanta, moved to Asheville, North Carolina, one of the best, sweetest places on earth to me. And I just threw myself into every possible study of energy work that felt right. And some of it didn't feel right, after I got into it, but all of it was life-changing. And I learned that this gift is kind of normal. I mean, a lot of people have this gift. It's, people in this world, and it was just like, well, how do I make this into a career? I was still thinking of, okay, how do I make this into a career? How do people make money from this? How do I take a gift and show it to the world? So I was like, well, Western medicine, that's the ticket. This was so long ago. And I decided that, well, if I can already look into people's bodies with laying my hands on them, then why don't I go into ultrasound, right? That kind of like makes sense, like using ultrasound for a diagnostic tool to look into people's bodies.
Well, that's what it's for. So that makes sense. I get it, right? Okay.
Yeah, I was like, Western medicine, let's just go get a nice little comfy corporate job or a nice comfy job, making a decent living. And so I went to school for it. And I majored in cardiac ultrasound, shouts out to all my echo techs. It's a very tough job. And it was the most difficult thing I'd ever done. I mean, literally like intellectually, because you have to know physics and ultrasound and the heart and cardiovascular. So intellectually, I learned more than I've learned in any other degree. But once I got into doing the job, I realized that it wasn't anything that I thought it was going to be. It was like, great, I know all this stuff about the heart, but there was no connection. I was putting this transducer on people's bodies to look into their heart, and it was absolutely fascinating, right? To see the blood flowing and to check the velocity of, it was just like, wow. But it was so empty for me. There was no really connecting with these people. There was these sick patients that were in these hospitals, and I would just do exam after exam after exam, and I'm like, this doesn't feel fulfilling. But it was really a tough time for me because I think I thought I finally found it, like the career. I have 7 degrees, and that's not bragging. That's kind of like, wow. I just had I had the luxury of following all my passions, but here I was on my 6th degree, and I still hadn't found it. I was like, how am I going to tell everybody that I'm now not going to follow this path after one of the hardest degrees I ever got,
Right.
I knew it wasn't for me, Kristen. Like it just didn't feel right. And I didn't pursue it. I said, luckily the universe stepped in and didn't give me a really great position. I really couldn't find a job for like a year and a half after I graduated. And it led me to believe that there was even something more. there was another something out there for me. And I'd already been doing some energy work on people. So I said, why don't I go into massage? And I found this amazing school in Georgia called Georgia Massage School, one of the best schools I've ever been to. And from there, it was like from day one, you ever have that moment where you're doing something and you realize, oh, wait, I'm kind of good at this and I really like it, and you can't wait to do more of it? That's what it was like for me. Yeah, from like day one for massage school. I was like, I want to know about every muscle and every tendon and, how everything works. And I'm still like that. I want to know, I want to continue to learn about, I don't want to just get certifications so I can get a piece of paper. I want to know. So when any client comes into my office, I'm like, okay, we're going to explore, we're going to investigate, we're going to figure this out together. So if that explains my journey, I was just a constant increase of awareness in my life that the body and connection were paramount. Like I had to be working with both of these things, and not having one of them wasn't going to work. So I connect through touch, and it's every day it's different, and I absolutely love it. So.
You went through these 6 different degrees. Do you, after you had them, you recognized, okay, this isn't for me. But what did each one of those teach you that maybe helped you get to where you are? Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure. Well, they were all like a series of parts of me. Like one is a teaching degree, which, kind of teaches you about leadership and a command of education. And then, a human resources degree, how to work with people. So I can really see a link between every single one, how I got here. But I think if someone just follows their passions, no matter where they take you, even if they feel like they're taking you to the left or to the right, they're going to lead you to like this perfect little spot. And I'm so glad that I was able and I listened to all those voices. Right now, I don't care if I have 7 degrees. I really don't. But I think 10 years ago, I really did. It was a big deal. Like, wow, why can't I find a good job? But thank God I did. I went through all those things because there are moments now where, knowing about physics and knowing about the heart comes in handy. And knowing about personal training and how the joints move during my work absolutely comes in handy. So I would say just make sure that you follow your passions, no matter if they're turned into a career or just something you really want to find out more about. Resources, just talking to people who know about that.
Mm-hmm. How do you utilize your gifts or your gift of seeing into the body, that intuitive gift that you have, when working on a client, knowing it may be a sensitive subject? So like you were talking about the women in the gallbladder. So since you have this intuitive gift, are you, how do you ask them in a gentle, loving way or in a non-invasive way that may be helping to bring their attention to something that may be going on within them without scaring the shit out of them?
I know. No, that's a really great question, because in the beginning, I probably didn't have a whole lot of couth when it comes to that, and I really didn't know how to word it. And I really asked for guidance, really, when I meditated about it throughout the years, because I really needed to know. So now what I do is I have the opportunity to talk to people, especially during chair massage, about a few other things, right? Like, how's your stress level? What do you do? And it usually just works its way out. Like, do you have, because there's certain questions before you receive a massage that I need to know. I need to know, like, do you have diabetes? Do you have heart disease? So a lot of those lead-in questions that I find out beforehand are really great to know. And it usually ends up being that whatever questions I've asked in the beginning or things that they've told me, it's always perfect. It's like one little nugget of information, and then during the massage I'll sense into their spleen or their bladder or whatever it is, and I'll be like, oh. So I'll end up asking them a question about either something they said about their health or maybe their daily activities, if they say they work out. I don't know, it just ends up being intuitive, if that's not that's just the right answer. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So, your company that you do corporate massage with is called Meta Massage. Where does the word meta come from, and what does it mean to you, and how did you come about that when creating your business?
Oh, that's such a sweet story. So meta by itself, it's spelled with 2 T's, METTA, really just means, a feeling of goodwill, benevolence. In Buddhism, it's like a focused meditation on the development of like unconditional love for other beings. So it's really like being in the presence of other people receiving love. So that's like the definition, right? Like, that's kind of boring. But how I experience literally meta, the feeling of being loved, is I was in massage school and I was having a rough day, and there was a lot of tests coming up, and I was just feeling awful. And a bunch of students came over and just started massaging me, my hands, my neck, giving me a scalp massage all at once, right? And a very lovely friend of mine, yoga instructor at the school, said, "Oh, meta." And I was like, "What? What'd you say? What was that word?" So as I'm experiencing meta, I'm hearing this definition of meta that she was telling me, benevolence. And I'm like in the moment of meta, right? And it was like this pure moment of experiencing it and intellectually getting it. And I didn't know at that time I was going to start a business called Meta, but it was such a profound moment for me to really be in the middle of receiving. And then when I started my business, I knew that, when I say it's a development of unconditional love, it is. I got to wake up every day and make that choice to be a part of Meta for somebody else. It doesn't just come, right? You've got to just really create it every day. But I wanted my business and my clients to feel that every time I have my hands on them, whether it's 15 minutes or for a corporate massage or 2 hours, in a massage. And it's really what brings the joy and like that energy that I get from massage. That's what I get from that. Yeah.
Right. No, that's awesome. And, why did you decide to go into corporate massage? How is that different? Why does corporate massage light you up?
Oh, man. Great question. I mean, I have my own practice. I have 2 offices here in Atlanta, either side of the town, and that's great. I love my clients. They're all amazing to me. But with my corporate business, it's like, if you can imagine these people, right? I mean, these corporate workers, and they're all, I don't know anything about their business, right? They're like, yesterday I worked with a bunch of amazing engineers, and last week was a bunch of people that, create software. And I don't know anything about these fields, and I never really do most of the time, right? Like, I was talking to a scientist yesterday that does ecology work. I mean, just hearing it, I'm like, oh my God, this woman is brilliant. So here are these people. They travel around the world. They care so much about other people and making the world better and making their work life better, their managers and supervisors. But for 15 minutes, these are the people that are deciding to come in and make a choice and give themselves 15 minutes for themselves. And that's just an honor for me to be able to be a part of that, because it's always great to love the people who come in every week to a spa and to your own practice. Like those people that get massaged every week, fantastic. But the people that really don't have a whole lot of time and probably need it the most, because they're impacting the most people in their world. They're traveling around, they're talking to people, they're coming from a boardroom, before the massage, and they have a conference call in 30 minutes, but they're giving themselves that 15 minutes to just be quiet and to listen to themselves. Whether they realize that or not, they're listening to that inner voice that says, no, I need 15 minutes of calm and to give my body a break for 15 minutes. That to me is an honor for me to be a part of. And I want to be able to impact as many people in a day as I can. And for me to massage 15, 20, 25 people in a day, awesome. I mean, it energizes me by 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, as opposed to, depleting me, because these people are strong folks, and they surrender just for a little while, and it makes their life, and at least that day, I hope, a little bit better.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you typically travel to them and do it in the office then? Yeah.
And I don't need much space. I just need a conference room, or some little cafeteria or little lunch space. And I just have my chair and just a little bit of time, just for them. So, yeah.
What do you offer as a corporate massage therapist that makes you stand out from other therapists? Like, what's the difference from other massage therapists? Other than your intuition, of course, but,
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think, every massage therapist, it's so funny when I go into these corporations, because you'll see the people walking down the hallway, and some of them have already signed up for the massage. They already have their time slot. And some people haven't yet, but they'll walk by the hall and they'll see me in there. And you can tell it's like this moment where they're kind of sizing me up a little bit, because they're like, I want to get a massage, but, is she going to be strong enough? Is she going to be, I'm a big guy. Is she going to have the right techniques? Because every massage therapist is going to feel good, right? Like every massage is amazing most of the time. But it's really what makes the massage stand out, I think, is obviously being intuitive, but really knowing that, asking just a few little basic questions before you walk into my chair, and just immediately tuning in. See, my massages are not the same for every single person, and I think
do you
that's
ask
what really
questions
makes
ahead
me
of
stand
time?
out, is that I don't have some like magic protocol that's the same for every massage. And it's so easy to do that, by the way. Like you could really fall into that rut and do that. But I really choose consciously that each person is so so individual when they get into my chair, that I listen both with whatever questions I ask, and I listen with my hands, obviously, intuitively, but they're getting the best. I can tell that even though you could be a petite woman, 5'2", 120 pounds, and I can tell the women that really need a good elbow. Do you know what I mean? And not just because of your size does not necessarily mean that you want a really light massage, or if you're a big guy, it doesn't mean that you want a really hard massage. So I think it's going to sound kind of corny, but I actually really care about making the biggest impact on you for that day, for that 15 minutes. And whatever that's going to be. Like if you tell me, hey, listen, I've been working out, I'm really stiff, but for right now, Nikki, I really just need a scalp massage. If that's what you want for 15 minutes, oh my goodness, I'm going to give you like the best scalp massage in the world. Or if you've been on the computer all day, and I can look at you and say, wow, he really needs to work on his rhomboids and blah, blah, blah. I might naturally want to do that. But if you say, listen, my hands and my wrists are so sore from being on the computer, can I just have you, rub my hands and fingers for 5-10 minutes? I mean, absolutely. How can I make the biggest impact on you? Because that's what's going to make the biggest impact on the next 10 people you talk to after the massage, whether it's on a conference call or you're in sales or selling. That's why I'm there.
Mm-hmm.
So
what do you learn from your clients and the corporate businesses that you work with? I mean, you're there to obviously help them de-stress, to help them, disconnect for that 15 or 20 minutes. But And so you're providing a service, and they're obviously, gaining a benefit. But whenever there's this interaction, there's something that we always learn from it. So what do you learn from your clients while you're providing this amazing service?
One basic thing, more than anything else, is that everybody wants their own connection just for a few minutes, whether they call it that or not, right? Like, what's connection? What does that mean? But I think everybody really is so thirsty for just a moment to connect to either something bigger than them, or another person that is genuine and genuinely with them, or their own quiet voice. And that can happen during a massage. So I think what I learned is that doesn't matter how busy you are and how much you have in your plate and how many million things you have going on in your brain, everybody deserves and really has a calling to connect to some very quiet voice inside of them.
Right. Yeah, that's so beautiful. And in this fast-paced world, I think, we're always going. And like you said, from one meeting to the next, or from the conference room to the conference call, it's this very fast-paced, and to take 15 minutes and just slow down during the day, that can make such a huge impact within the brain. I mean, you're working on the body, but within the brain. Within the brain.
I mean, there's neurotransmitters, there, the feel good, the serotonin, the dopamine. I mean, those are real. That's science, So it's not just about, massage isn't just about, relaxation and getting it for Mother's Day and your birthday. I mean, this is a therapeutic approach to wellness, and it should be part of your team. I ask all my clients, who's on your team? Who's on your team? Do you have a massage therapist, an acupuncturist? It could be an instructor of martial arts. I don't care what it is. Or it could be jumping around a trampoline for an hour.
But everyone
needs, or a personal trainer. Exactly. I just hired one myself, Everyone needs a team. And there's so much research out there about massage. There's a company, and there's a research institute called Touch Research Institute. And they did a study that for every adult who receives a 15-minute chair massage, were more alert. They completed math questions faster, which was amazing, right? And more accurately. And that same institute also found a study in 2009 that chair massage, or massage in general, can decrease migraine pains, tension headaches, soothes anxiety and depression. I mean, these are all things that we, especially people in the corporate world, but all of us come across, every single day. A massage also decreases the stress hormone. We all know about cortisol, right? We know we read the commercials, it creates belly fat, but it's just a nasty stress hormone. And massage is really good for that. It lowers the blood pressure. PMS symptoms. I mean, do you know that 8 out of 10 Americans experience back pain? I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot of people. And it's a lot of it it's from sitting, from being on their cell phones, being in the office, sitting in traffic. I mean, these are real things. There's this doctor, his name is Dr. Dan Churkin. It was a 2011 study, and he studied the reports of the benefits of massage as a whole, and he found that the benefits of massage were as strong as with acupuncture, exercise, yoga. I mean, these studies are basically saying that they're helping people feel pain-free, better overall function, decreased stiffness. I mean, when I'm moving somebody's joint, shoulder, arm, neck, leg, this is increasing all of the blood circulation. So if people think that massage at work is going to put you to sleep, trust me, it's not going to happen. You might feel relaxed, but relax and sleepiness are two different things. When you increase the circulation and get blood flowing, and your blood pressure lowers,
right,
you're only going to feel more alert. So it's fascinating to see people come in and say, "Oh, I don't want to get a massage. I might go to sleep," and then they get out of the chair and they're like, you could tell, I can see it in their eyes, Kristen. It's so amazing. Their eyes are just bright. Their skin is their cheeks are rosy, and they got this brightness to them. And I love the fact, just for a moment, to think that maybe they can go back in their office and, like, kill it in the sales department or something, and like be like, yeah. I mean, that's why I'm there, just to make a small little impact on them.
That's amazing. Yeah, yeah. Where did you get your inspirations for the healing arts, including massage? I mean, I knew that it was part of the journey, that the ultrasound, but what when did you start putting your hands on people? Like, was it that the personal training, or was it like, what made you get go in that direction?
For the healing arts? Or
the healing arts, yeah. Yep. And the massage, like the incorporation of massage and healing arts.
Oh gosh, I think it began, I've been given a lot of really great teachers in my life, right? We all have like these people that come into our lives, and I've had a series of chiropractors actually that have come into my life that I had a really severe neck injury, and it all stems from that car accident way back when. And I had a severe neck injury, couldn't get out of bed. Then I found out it was because of years of my body being out of whack and stuff. And I think when I met this chiropractor, his name is Dr. John Batistas, and when I met him and he started to teach me about the body even more neurologically, and then so when I started to like do energy healings with that particular advanced knowledge about how the nervous system works, I think it started to sink in that there are people out there that could benefit from what I do. I think before then I wasn't sure if the skills I had or the gifts or whatever you want to call it really had a place in the world. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah. I mean, I think that anyone who has intuitive gifts, when you're awakened, when you are becoming awakened or awakening to this idea that you have these gifts that are intuitive, that are just, I guess what I call them is downloads, right? You just get these downloads. You just know things. And I think you said it closer to the beginning, where I don't know how I knew it. I don't know why. It just came to me, and I put my hands on, and I just know. And they're like, how do you know? And I'm like, I don't know. And then, it kind of freaks you out at first because you don't know where it came from. And because we are so conditioned as a society to be earthlings, right? So this idea that we are grounded here and this is all there is, and yet on a spiritual plane, to be connected to something bigger, the idea that we are connected to something bigger, that we have access to something bigger, is huge. And, what is accepted, let's say, in our society is being religious. And one of my favorite quotes is, prayer is you talking to God, or, your higher power, and meditation is God talking to you. And I love that, because I think there are so many people, as this world gets awakened, things are changing. But I think that a lot more people believe that you can talk to God or your higher power or the universe or whatever, this greater energy, but that listening or hearing or getting downloads is something that doesn't happen, or is forbidden, or is, if you look at the texts, biblical texts, or, other religious texts, you're outcast if you're a fortune teller or foreseer, instead of it being looked at as a gift, as something that we have a greater knowledge of. And so I think that there's this societal piece that I'm just like reflecting back, that I think for a lot of people that's scary. Like, holy shit, I have this gift. What do I do with it? I can't tell anybody because people will think I'm crazy.
Yeah. And even like and how do I use it? Like, how do I even tell people I do? I mean, it was such a slow progression for me. I mean, I'm 42 now. It took me so long to get to the point where I was comfortable, sharing with people that I was an intuitive. And I don't tell people now, actually. I mean, putting it on my list of who I am is already it feels kind of strange to me anyway. But because I think we all are. So it's not anything that different. But to be able to like take that, to question it and say, okay, I've got these things I can do. Now, what do I do with them? Do I make it into a job? Do I make it into a career? And like me, I try to take the easy way out. I mean, in the beginning, I certainly wasn't out there claiming it right away. I was trying to go to ultrasound thinking, yay, I'll just be normal like everybody else and go to work at a hospital. Wrong. I mean, sometimes the easy answer is just they don't work. You've got to really listen to that voice, because the universe was like, no, you better step out there and be who you are every day, because that's who's going to touch everybody. Not, I mean, physically, obviously, but also just really impact. And it's going to make me happier. I mean, so much happier what I do now compared to trying to make it work,
Right.
before, trying to hide the gift.
Right. And opening yourself up. And it's funny that you said that, oh, I'm going to go this route, which, is the prescribed easy route, whatever. And when you're redirected, nope, you're being challenged. And I was listening to something earlier this week that, I think it was Tony Robbins, where he said, people want to get rid of their problems. And the thing is that our problems teach us things. They help us to grow. And so, what are we learning from them? And when we accept the lesson, when we learn the lesson, we grow. And so for you, the straight and narrow path of, okay, I'm going to go to get a degree and I'm going to go do this. That's the prescribed path, but you wouldn't be where you are had you not been redirected, like had that year and a half that you said, I couldn't find a job. Like that was probably really awful, but at the same time, a huge gift, because you were challenged to do something different.
And here's a funny story about that. I'm so, I don't give up, right? I'm not a person who's ever given up on anything. I was
persistent.
Persistent. Oh my God. I was so determined to get a job in this ultrasound that I was, I just met my husband. We were dating. We were like totally in love, but I was willing to go anywhere in the country to get a job as an echo tech. I was willing to go to Oklahoma and all this stuff and leave him and, crazy. That finally I was like, okay, I snuck into hospitals that, there's always a security thing. I snuck to get into the human resources department of the cardiovascular department to try to talk to the head person and physically hand them a resume. I mean, I just went all out, right? I'm like, I am getting this job. So much so that I was working for free for 2 months out in Cartersville, which at the time was it was a city outside. It was like an hour and a half drive for free, doing echo work with another echo tech, just to kind of get experience, right? That was it, just to kind of keep my hands busy in the career while I was looking for a job. And so for about a month and a half. So one weekend, I'm baking my husband a cake. I cut my finger open with a really, those blenders with the blades on the bottom. It's a horrible story, I know. But anyway, I cut my finger open, and the finger that I cut, I really broke it. Like, no joke, right? Like, not just a little scratch. The finger that I broke was called my echo finger. It's your index finger on your left hand. Is the only finger pretty much the main finger that you need for echo to scan, right? To scan the heart. That was on Friday. Broke my finger. It's in a cast. That woman that I'm working for calls me on Sunday night and says, I have to urgently leave my job. My uncle just passed away. I'm giving you my job as an echo tech. So here I was, Sunday night, my very first opportunity to be an echo tech, and I have a broken echo finger. It was like the universe going, yeah, remember when I told you you're not supposed to be doing this? Like, we really don't want you to be doing this, so don't do it. They broke my finger. If I hadn't broke my finger, I would have continued that. With how determined I am, I would have started that first job. So it's like, you've got to listen before you slice your finger open.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, being inspired, hey, so you were saying that you were listening to the Tony Robbins thing. Did you listen to the I'm not your guru? Yeah.
Yep.
Amazing. Same kind of feeling, right? Like he was talking about, I noticed that in in that thing, he was doing a lot of lymphatic work. Do you remember in that? He was raising his hands above his head and kind of doing the pumping for the audience.
Yep.
That's the kind of work that I like to do as well because, not particularly specifically like that, but the lymphatic system is a really important system to keep intact for alertness. So just thought of that off the cuff. But,
is that called lymphatic breathing?
I don't know if that's technically the term, but I know that if you the lymphatic system doesn't have its own pump like the heart. Its pump is your breath. So it makes sense if that's what that particular technique is called. So in order to get the lymphatic system pumping, you have to raise your hands over your heads, do some jumping, some bouncing, anything to kind of get the lymph moving. So it's a really great thing to do if you're kind of stuck at the office and you have about 10 minutes to just pump your fist over your head, and it might look a little funny, but just do some really deep breathing, like in through the nose, out through the mouth, hands over the head, pumping it up and down. Even if you can stand up, and if you can't bounce, if you don't really want to bounce in the middle of your office, if you can just raise up on the tops of your toes, and do this for maybe like just 2 minutes every couple of hours. Get some of that lymph and oxygen just bursting through your body. It'll give you a lot of energy.
Yeah. I mean, and I saw that, and, energy is something that makes us feel better, which is why movement is so important. And so, that was another question I was going to ask. People are sitting at their desks and then they come for a massage. Is there any movement? And I know that you have a history as a personal trainer, but is there any movement that they do before or after the massage that helps them, as part of the de-stressing process, right? Because if they're sitting at their desks, and I know you're doing a chair massage, they go to the chair and then they go back to their desks. Do you encourage them at all to move throughout the day? Or, I know you're not a doctor, but do you give them any prescriptions like, okay, see you next week?
I always send my clients home with homework, and it's always fun homework, but especially in the chair massage. So it's a great question because the first thing I do when I have them raise their head off of the chair, the headrest, is have them roll their shoulders back. Because Kristen, there's probably, I can't imagine there was one time where I've ever massaged somebody who hasn't had neck and shoulder pain. Everyone always says, gosh, my shoulders feel like they're up to my ears. And so when our shoulders start to roll forward like that from just bad posture, looking at our cell phone, not stretching, our pec and pec minors are just become really not as strong as our back does. Our shoulders start to roll forward. So in a chair massage, there's so many great benefits, but your shoulders tend to roll forward a little bit as you relax, and so your body starts to really decompress. So when I'm working on those neck and shoulder muscles pretty hard sometimes, the first thing I want you to do when you get up is roll those shoulders back to feel the difference of what it's like to be in really good posture, and to continue to do that throughout the day. Because I think what ends up happening is I'll see that people's necks will start to kind of go into alignment a little bit more, because they notice that when their shoulders are pushed back, they really get it that their necks are pushed forward. And for every inch that your neck is pushed forward, you got 10 more pounds of head that your neck has to hold up. That's huge. So what I try to do is just for body awareness, right? And I think I let them kind of be aware of their neck posture on their own. Roll their shoulders back and say, wow, I've been holding my shoulders up high all this time. I didn't even know it. But also as far as movement, just getting up, like I said, raising up on your calves, like putting your hand on your desk so you're nice and stable, coming up onto your toes and back for like 2 minutes. Just again, get the blood flow from your feet all the way up, just for like 2-3 minutes, maybe every couple of hours. Even head turns while you're breathing, turning your neck, your head from side to side while breathing, in through the mouth, out through the nose. And when we breathe, it's really important that we're expanding our breath, our bellies, right? So our breath isn't coming in through our shoulders, which you might see a lot. So when you're inhaling, your belly is like a Buddha belly, is what I call it. So every breath should be a nice big Buddha belly. And when you exhale, really letting that breath come all the way out and taking a pause between the exhale and the inhale. Just deep breaths like that. If you don't want to get up and bounce and do all these things, if you're in a tight little cubicle, just deep breaths like that can make a huge difference in your energy level.
Yeah, just breathing while you were talking, I was like, oh, I feel so relaxed.
Yeah.
So, the other thing that you were talking about earlier is about the studies that have been conducted regarding massage and relaxation. So I wanted to ask you, have there been any studies done on how massage impacts the corporate world and corporate workers? Because that was one thing that, we'd read in your bio is that that really this massage helps to impact a more productive work environment. And I wanted to see what info you had on that to share with our listeners, because that we know, at least I know, maybe our listeners don't,
Hello?
The big corporations where people are really sitting at their desk, like Google, Microsoft, and all of these other, places that have different work strategies for helping relaxation and helping people to get away from their desk, which helps to creates greater productivity, but also creativity. So what do you know about that from your work?
So there's so many studies, right? I know I mentioned before the Dr. Churkin one. There was a study, and just also I want to touch upon the immune system. I mean, just how the massage can increase your immune system. I mean, think about how many sick days people have to take in a year, right, or in a month, and how if massage directly affects the immune system, which it does, then how many less sick days these workers can take in a week, or a month, or a year. That's that much more productivity for that company. But there was a study in 2010 that showed an increase in white blood cells. So white blood cells are the disease-fighting cells. Again, about the immune system. Delta waves. Delta waves have to do with the deep sleep. Though we're not promoting sleep in the office, you bet your bottom dollar that if your supervisor or the person next to you is getting a good night's sleep the night before, they're going to come in and do a heck of a lot more work. And massage will help do that. It's basically taking the body from a heightened alertness all the time, tensing, to just give me some time to breathe and to sleep and my immune system to rebound. But yeah, there's a lot of institutes, like I was telling you about that Touch Research Institute, that they've done tons of studies on corporate massage. There was a study done in 2009 that dramatically decreased migraine pain and tension headaches. You know how many clients I have come to me and say, first on their little sheet that they fill out about what they have, they always mention I get headaches. But then when you really talk to people, they really come out and say, I get headaches every week, and that's a lot. I mean, getting a headache every once in a while, that's not good either. But if
weekly,
weekly, I mean, can you imagine? I mean, I know when I get a headache, I'm out. I'm a baby when I get a headache. I have to go into a dark room or, go in a hot bath or something. But these people are having to be at work and do this. So, it's dramatic. And I think that's the part of the job too I like is the education that people receive about massage. It's not just the gift certificate you buy for your mother once a year, because that's great too. I always appreciate those mothers, and I love to take care of your mothers. But there is so much research. I mean, if you just looking at if you just Google yourself, massage benefits from Huffington Post. There was it was the English Labor of Statistics that have tons of stats about corporate massage. So I want to get all of that benefits here, whether it's to be in Atlanta or all across the United States. That's where, whether it's through meta massage or not, but just to know that there is so many benefits you can get from either hiring a massage therapist for your company or having them come in once a week or once a month, and just morale. I mean, can you imagine if every Friday you knew, oh yeah, is that chick coming in doing massages Friday? No one's going to be taking off Fridays like they normally do. No one's going to be taking 3-day weekends. They're going to come in and get their free massage. It works. It helps.
Yeah, yeah. How do you and Meta Massage want to make the biggest impact in the world? How do you intend to use your company to create a bigger impact?
Awareness, like I was saying. Like I said, I think my teaching background is probably going to lead me somewhere. I really would love to do a lot more corporate events and doing some public speaking on a bigger scale, but just for education purposes. But I think just knowing that Meta Massage and kind of how I founded the company and where I stand, hiring like-minded people like myself, and really spreading the word to other cities, to other states, and getting it in every corporation that is calling for a deeper understanding of connection with their employees. Does that make sense? Like, instead of just saying, okay, I want to hire this person because he's really good, this person's really good. No, I want a company that is progressive and that comes to work and wants to be at work, and that
right.
That's the kind of companies that I kind of want to be a part of, to be honest. But I think those kind of companies are becoming more popular anyway. But that's where I feel like Meta belongs, in those kind of companies, because I think those are the kind of companies that are really going to see, well, gosh, if we have a gym downstairs of our company, that's awesome. We have a daycare for our parents, that's awesome. But how are we taking care of the mental state of my employees throughout the day? How are we taking care of the people who come in with migraines and stiff neck? Because once you have a stiff neck in the morning, good luck trying to get rid of that throughout the day on your own. I hope you can, but having somebody to immediately be right there on staff to take care of you. So I just want to spread the word, and have it come from a really good place. There's a lot of massage therapists out there, and we all do really amazing work. We all work very, very hard. My goal is to hire the very best and to keep growing Meta throughout the country, and getting in where the companies where it's just a really good fit.
So I hear you saying, have table, will travel.
Have chair, will travel.
Have chair, will travel. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love that. I have a few people that I work with now, but I'm really just trying to keep things. I want to make sure that Meta is growing in a way where it's like conscious and intentional, and not just, there's so many massage therapists. I mean, I could hire 10 right now if I wanted to. But my goal is to get people that have a little bit more, and they all don't need to be intuitives, or they all don't need to be this or that, but they need to have a real conscious knowing of what they're doing. Like the gift that they're providing, and the awareness of their clients. Because I'll see people give massages and they go blank in the face after about 20 minutes. They're losing focus of what they're doing. And it can happen if you're not really in love with what you're doing. You know what I mean? I mean, you got to love it.
It's not a passion.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's beautiful. So where can people find you? How can business owners, individuals connect with you? Because although your focus is corporate massage, you also still give individual massages. So how could people find you?
Yeah. So the best thing I could do is say, if you know of a company, or a supervisor or manager who knows that they really could use Meta Massage at their company, contact me. My email address is metaliving@yahoo. So that's METTALIVING @yahoo. My website is massagebook.com/metaliving. or you can reach me on Facebook, which is Meta Massage and Bodywork / Atlanta. Or I'll be in Starbucks in 20 minutes, whatever.
Which Starbucks we're going to come find you.
Starbucks.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. I think that you're creating a bigger impact, and this is something that not a lot of people probably have thought about or known about. I mean, obviously the people that you connect with, that you work on in these different corporate environments, they know about you, but this is an up and coming service that I think in the next 10 years will just be status quo, but right now is more of an asset or an add-on service. And it's moving into, you know what I mean? Like regular services as part of a company.
Yeah, I think people, it's just about education. Just like, remember when a couple years ago or about 10 years ago, chiropractic care was like so controversial and now it's like covered by insurance, almost every single company. It's the same thing, massage. We're getting there. Once people kind of get over the hurdle of, it's not just for Mother's Day, it can really deeply, physically, psychologically, and energetically impact my life. So I think it's getting out there, and I'm happy to be part of spreading the word,
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Nikki, for coming on today and sharing your story and sharing your business with us. That's amazing.
Thank you so much, Kristen. It has been such a pleasure. Thank you.
Awesome. I'm so glad to have you, and I'm so glad that you were able to share. So Meta Massage, how would they find you on Facebook / Atlanta?
Okay. So on Facebook, it's Meta Massage and Bodywork.
Meta Massage and Bodywork / Atlanta.
Atlanta, because there is another Meta Massage in a different state. So we got to do the Atlanta one. And then my website is massagebook.com / Meta Living, METTALIVING.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Nikki Glotfelty, everyone. Thank you for joining me today.
Awesome, Kristen. Thanks.
And thank you, everyone, for listening. It has been another amazing show. To continue the conversation, hop on over to the Seekers group on Facebook, www.facebook.com /groups / The Seekers Path. And to grab your very own free Seekers Guide workbook, head on over to KristenLloyd.com and click on free gifts. Until next time, remember that you are meant for more and keep seeking.
Thanks for tuning in to Meant for More, the Seeker's Guide to Success. But the fun doesn't end here. Head over to KristenLloyd.com for your Seeker's Guide workbook filled with exercises to help you go from mediocre to magically magnificent.